The Haunted Mansion is an attraction that first opened at Disneyland 53 years ago in 1969. It features ghosts, seances, and plenty of cartoonish occult imagery. This attraction is very popular with guests and has been a mainstay in the theme parks for decades. In 2003, the attraction was adapted for the big screen, starring Eddie Murphy as a realtor who's trapped in the mansion with his family. The movie was a critical flop, but did well at the box office, doubling its $90 million budget to the tune of $182 million. Disney adapted another theme park attraction to film that same year with the Johnny Depp-helmed Pirates of the Caribbean, which went on to make $4.5 billion with its 4 sequels. Maybe it's that type of success, plus the recent trend of Disney remaking its classics, that are fueling them to revisit the ghoulish Haunted Mansion. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater. No, over here. All right, this is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion, written by Kate Dippold, directed by Justin Simien, starring LaKeith Stanfield, Tiffany Haddish, Owen Wilson, Danny DeVito, Rosario Dawson, Dan Levy, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Jared Leto. For a complete cast listing, you can check the link in our show notes. I am not here alone. I am here with
Laura Nichols.
Welcome back, Laura. All right, Haunted Mansion. This is the second adaptation of the Disneyland attraction. The first one coming out in 2003, starring Eddie Murphy, about a realtor who moves into a aforementioned haunted mansion and has to deal with all the ghosts that are there. This follows a similar plot line where a group of folks or a family of 2 moves into a mansion. They have to deal with the ghosts, so they call in reinforcements. The reinforcements are a bunch of different paranormal specialists that are kind of working in different fields, doing different paranormal, we'll say occult adjacent specialists who are all working in different fields to all help vanquish the ghosts. Laura Nichols, what did you think of this movie?
You know, I thought it was fun. It was a romp. I'm a Halloween girly from way back, so I love a spooky story. Don't love horror. Definitely like ghosts. I thought it was fun. I think at times it became a bit disjointed in the storytelling. It got a little clunky and slowed down when it tried to tie some stuff around grief to ghosts and hauntings. It was at its best when the story was moving forward, when they were solving a mystery. The casting, it was fun. It's like Owen Wilson is Owen Wilsoning. Danny DeVito is Danny DeVitoing. Like, they are all very much in their lane. I don't know that the ensemble was as strong as I would have liked. I think they were sometimes in their own movie. But when it did work, it was excellent. It's almost as though if it leaned into a buddy comedy more, it would have been a little bit more entertaining, or if it leaned into a mystery more, it would have been a little stronger. I think it was doing a lot, but if you can hang with that and kind of take it for a Disney, I don't want to say a Disney ride, but proverbially a movie Disney ride, then yeah, relax into it. It's a lot of fun. Overall, I thought it was like a good way to kill an afternoon.
I thought this movie was absolute trash. If I was going to kill an afternoon, they should have put it on Disney Plus where it belongs. Yeah. This movie.
I'm trying to be nice.
No, I mean, I don't know why. This is a critique podcast.
Some of it was fun. Some of it was funny.
I didn't see it. I think from the very beginning, actually, this movie had me in the beginning. When we were talking about, when it started off, there was a way in which I was agreeing. I was like, okay, LaKeith Stanfield, I see what y'all are doing. This is clearly going to be a little bit more emotional than I expected. And then all of a sudden, they just abandoned the pacing of this movie, starting with the fact that he staunchly does not believe in ghosts. Staunchly, just doesn't believe, don't exist, never ever see him. And they don't really they don't really do much convincing for him to just start believing in ghosts. He's not explaining things away. He's not not saying like, well, that could have happened to anybody, anything like that. They kind of just be like, hey, you know that whole thing that he was staunchly standing on, it's gone. And for me, the pacing kind of went so far up and down at that point that I was just like out of it the whole time. I was also kind of dozing a few times, which made me think that the movie was it was more boring than I expected it to be. That being said, everything that you said is, there were moments where I laughed. Like, I laughed like several times. I think there were people in our theater who were over laughing, which was irritating because it was like, that's not funny. Like, why are you laughing at that? But I will say the laugh lines that they gave to Tiffany Haddish over and over again seemed to work because they barely had any for Danny DeVito. And at times I forgot Owen Wilson was in the movie.
Yes, I would agree with you. I don't know what Owen Wilson was doing there.
I had no idea.
Several times I was like, what is this character here to do?
How is he back?
What is he doing? Also, and I agree with you, the beginning was the strongest. Although LaKeith Stanfield, I do adore him as an actor. I don't think he was that great for this part.
Okay. So I'm glad you said that because I was sitting there watching. I'm like, I know why you hired him. You hired him for the emotional beats because he can cry on command, and he's doing that. However, this movie doesn't need that. The parts where he's running around and trying to be zany, I'm like, this isn't him. That's not what he does.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's why the casting, that's why my comment is like, it's almost like Danny DeVito just shows up and just does his little thing. Like, he's just like always Sunny in Philadelphia, Danny DeVito these days. And it's like, look, okay, we haven't seen him do anything new like in decades.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, okay, that's fine with me. I love Danny DeVito. I'm a complete stan. Great. Owen Wilson, I don't know what he was doing. Jamie Lee Curtis, was the accent problematic? Couldn't quite tell.
So the accent, I'm like, was that accent here from the beginning or did it just show up? Like, what just happened here?
Right, exactly. And then, the LaKeith Stanfield, back to this, they fridged his wife pretty quickly. I mean,
weird.
It's odd. It's like we don't even get to really connect with this relationship, and suddenly she's the whole impetus. There's bizarre storylines on suicidal ideation of children, which I'm like, what a weird, strange, macabre twist in a movie that seems like it can't tell if it's a children's romp or very serious meditation on grief. That the pacing, I'm completely with you. That threw me the most. I was really into it at the beginning because I'm like, okay, don't like this character. I know I'm not supposed to like this character. That's okay. I can stick with it. I can see what happens. But it just never got better. They add more people to the stew, but they don't quite know what they're cooking. And that seems to be playing out in all these scenes. So the jokes were good. The ones that landed absolutely landed.
They were funny.
They had, that's why I feel like they had strong performances from the people and the comedians they placed to make the exact joke they're going to make and succeed on. Like, Owen Wilson's going to land the same kind of joke for the rest of his life.
Every single time.
It's you could bet your life on it. Same with Danny DeVito, although I agree they didn't give him very much. And that man has some range. Like, they just didn't want to give it to him.
And I don't know if they had the room to support all of the people that had to make punchlines in this movie, and then also to support like a LaKeith Stanfield being like the head of this. And also, I mean, I forgot she was in the movie. Rosario Dawson is in this movie, and she's a main character. And I'm just like, she show up, I'll be like, oh yeah, you're here. What do we have you doing again?
Being a nervous mother, sleepwalking through the whole fucking.
That's it.
I don't know if I can swear. Sleepwalking through the whole fucking thing. Also,
not you censoring yourself and then just saying it again.
Yeah, doubling down as soon as I got permission. I also could never tell how much danger these people were in. Are they?
Yes, what are the stakes? What are the stakes? Are y'all gonna die or aren't y'all already dead? Like, what are we talking about here?
The scary character, and it got a little fun when they had to do a little side quest regarding the main character. I think, again, like the mystery elements and the sort of side quests and the needing to solve puzzle piece, it almost made me think at one point, if this had been written more like Clue, tighter, more of a mystery, I think they could have nailed it much better than they did. They tried to make it lots of things. So if the story is something about trapping souls, but you have to willingly want to go and kill yourself, then but they're being chased, but we don't know if they're actually going to be harmed, and they're not, in my view, being scared enough, but also we have no idea how much danger they're actually in. So it's very hard to ground yourself in their experience as characters, because this stuff, it's a little funny, the premise that you can't quite leave the mansion because the mansion will follow you. I kind of like that idea. And I think they played with it in a funny way. I think they could have gone further, perhaps, or maybe that would have been overkill. It's really hard to say because the tone went all over the place after that. But it was just really hard to ground yourself in what they try to humanize the ghost at some point. Sometimes they're really evil and they're the danger. Sometimes they're on the side of the characters. And that was an interesting thing to explore, but again, they're trying to take a little bite of everything, and it becomes kind of this mishmash of tone, of pacing, of characterization, of like, as the audience, it's whiplash trying to figure out who you're rooting for and what you want to even happen, because it's so hard to establish what's the threat in the first place.
I think that this movie probably could have done with a twist. I think if they would have hit me at the end and been like, oh, no, they're all dead, I would have been like, oh, yeah, great, okay. That makes more sense than done a little flashback. Been like, see, everybody was dead the whole time. That was the problem, blah, 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 they're dead. That probably would have, I would have been a cop-out, but I would have probably been like, ha, got me, nice. That, and then the other thing was this movie, the cold open was not very good. The cold open was kind of set around LaKeith Stanfield relationship with his wife, and I think it could have been set to center the entire movie around that. That felt like a side story. They didn't give us enough time with her for me to really appreciate her, and it just generally, I think when you're going to deal with something like grief, I think people just need to remember that you're up against movies like what's the one, Midsummer. You know what I mean? Which is like, I mean, that is a terrifying movie. I would not, and it's not because it's scary. It's just very unsettling. I would say that. But like, you're dealing with movies like that, or movies like Hereditary, even, where you're like, there these big horror movies where they're talking about grief. And I'm blanking on a couple other ones, but there's other movies where it was even action adventure or something where somebody had to release something because they were grieving throughout the movie, and whatever the horror fantastical thing is happening there is like it's meant to be like a metaphor for the feelings that they're feeling. Whereas this one was just like, he has a death wish, therefore he has a death wish because he misses his wife, and like therefore that's going to be useful to the plot later when we're looking for a willing soul. And I just like, there's something also that felt unsettling about thinking about the types of movies that Disney does that are creepy, like The Nightmare Before Christmas, or you think about like Hocus Pocus or Hocus Pocus Redux. Like, think about all of those movies, and you throw something like this in the mix, and it's just like, this doesn't measure up to your classic Halloween movies, man. And then also, why is it coming out in the middle of the summer? Like, October's right there. With all that being said, like, where do you land? Like, what's your rating on it?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I love Nightmare Before Christmas. It's a childhood film for me. Love Hocus Pocus. Again, like, tight stories, stayed in their lane. We're not trying to do everything at once. This, look, I can appreciate the haunting. It's bizarre that it's July. Absolutely freaking cannot understand why they made the choice. I'm going to give it a 2. Because though it was like, it had its moments, some of the jokes landed, it was just, it's forgettable. I was already in the middle of it being like you said, falling asleep. I'm not really sure what's happening here. I don't want to rewatch this, which for me is a pretty big metric of if I'm enjoying a movie, if I know that it's going to be fun to revisit around the holiday, that that my spooky time.
3 stars is typically I would rewatch. So.
Yeah, that's okay. Yep, 2 is under that. Like, I just cannot see myself enjoying this again. I think the whole thing feels like a bunch of trailer clips tied together. It just doesn't really hold. So I'm going to give it a 2.
I would give it a 2 as well. I think it's not, like, I didn't hate it, but I don't ever want to see it again. And I mean, I was sitting here watching, I'm like, this isn't even something that you would turn on at like your Halloween party and be like, hey, y'all, it's spooky season. I'd be like, nah, we good. Put something else on. Put Charlie Brown Christmas on. Like, it's almost Christmas. Put anything else on, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, yeah, like, thinking about just the way, like you said, a bunch of trailer clips strung together, I think that's a fantastic comparison, because I actually think the trailer was better. And you actually had me convinced in a lot of ways when you kept saying, you're like, I just want it to be a romp. And I feel like watching this, I'm like, this wanted to also be a romp. And it was like, it like lifted its leg, and it didn't, you know what I mean? It didn't actually... Yeah, it just kind of tripped. Like, if this was a frolic, it like got to the field and it didn't actually do any frolicking. It
was like an exhausted sigh and heave out of a chair. Like, that's what it was actually doing.
Yeah, it was like, yeah. So no, I absolutely agree with you. All right. Well, with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of OhitsBigRon Studios. Alexandra Ketch of Bias Studios mixes the show. Thank you, Alex. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about Haunted Mansion or Laura Nichols, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, and Spill at OhitsBigRon. That's at OhitsBigRon. You can find out more about this show and other OhitsBigRon Studios shows by following us on Instagram at OhitsBigRon Studios and on Twitter at OhitsBigRon Stew. That's STEW. Leaving It Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening. And thanks for being on the show.
Thanks a lot, Ronald. This is great.
Awesome.
Yeah, re-hocus, re-pocus.
Yeah, two hocus, two pocus.
Two hocus, two pocus. Hocus Pocus Reloaded. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,